Do you want to pop the slides up, Jason, or do you want to wait?
Yeah, I can share that. Yeah, I'll do that.
Hi, Joe.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. Welcome everyone joining. There's still people joining now, so we'll just wait for everyone to come in and then we'll start.
I think it's probably worth starting, is it now?
Yeah, I think
there you go.
We've got most people here.
Yeah, okay. Morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this session with Power to Change. And I'm Jason, I'm from Crowdfunder. And we're joined by Becky, who'll give us a wave, who's from Spark, and Joe from Heart of BS13. We've got about a 40-minute session, hopefully, today. We're going to talk to you, John's going to talk to you about a little bit about Power to Change and about the Community Business Crowdmatch Fund and what Power to Change are looking for in the projects that they want to support to get up to £10,000 match funding. I'll talk you through a little bit about how crowdfunding and match funding works on the Crowdfunder platform, but only quite briefly. We've got lots of additional support to help you with that bit. And then a chance to hear from two successful projects from previous rounds of the fund, as we said, from Becky and Joe, and hopefully time for questions at the end. If you do have questions, pop them in the chat and we will keep an eye on that. And particularly if you've got questions for the projects who have successfully crowdfunded and received match funding as well, do pop those in the chat and we'll keep an eye on those. So we'll kick off and I'll hand to John to introduce you to the fund.
Thanks, Jason, and it's good to be here. Welcome, everyone. It's good to have you join us on this nice Friday. Just to say, we can put these slides up on our websites afterwards. We've also are recording this webinar, so we can put a recording up on the webinar afterwards, and you'll see the link on our website as well to all the guidance. So don't feel you have to scribble everything down right away. But thanks for having me. I'm John Dawson from Power to Change. I'm our head of social investments here. So we have previously run partnership work with Crowdfund, and we're really pleased to extend that today with today's launch. For those of you who aren't familiar with Power to Change, we are an independent charitable trust. We were set up just about 7 years ago now. We support what we call community businesses in England. We recently reached over £100 million of grant making. And our belief is that we want to help communities to use the power of community business to transform where they live. We come on to the next slide, Jason. Thank you. So just to give you an overview of what we want to support, what type of organisations we're interested in, it's what we call community business, and we have 4 headings really of how we would define a community business and what we'd be looking for from applications. So we're really interested to see that you're locally rooted. We want to see that you're based in a place, you're not operating nationally, but you are responding to local needs there. So it's effectively a group of local people coming together, showing that what you want to do will benefit the local community and local people around you. We're really interested in seeing that you're community led. Sometimes we have applications come in that are just from one person with sort of one director or one trustee. which to us doesn't really give enough evidence that there's more people that back what you want to do. We're really looking for the wording of what you do to be talking about how you as a group want to transform and change your community. So we call that being community led. And that's about the community having a genuine say and input into how the business is run as well. We're looking for organizations that are seeking to move towards trading or who are already trading. So we sometimes get applicants come in that are looking very much for more of a donation type scheme, a sort of one-off donation. Ideally, what we're looking for more is an organization with an interest in selling some sort of services or products, and that the crowdfunding campaign will help to sort of transform that organization and move it up to the next level. So that might be about investing in equipment or investing in a new product or a new service to help grow the organization. And finally, about making life better for local people. So it's not just about sort of one activity, but about how you reach out to the wider community. So we put there, community businesses engage with a variety of different groups with different community needs, maybe specific focus on disadvantaged group or support the local community more widely. So we'll ask you in the application how you respond to our community business definition. Just to give you an overview and some inspiration, we'll share the link afterwards of where these links are, but we ran the past iteration of Crowdmatch with Crowdfunder. We closed it just earlier in the summer, but we ran it as a sort of response from organizations to support them sort of coming out of the pandemic and the problems of COVID. So we supported 36 organizations there. We were really pleased that that helped over 6,000 individuals to back those projects. Collectively, that raised over £600,000 for a variety of different projects there. They're really inspiring. So if you're really interested in looking for some inspiration on what you might want to do in your community, and particularly how to pitch a good crowdfunding campaign, there's some really good examples here. The Bristol Bike project there, we contributed £5,000, and that helped over £40,000 to be raised from over 606 backers in the community. And they're a co-op that were looking for a new home for their bicycle workshop. They'd already found the home, but were looking for money to invest in renovating the building and the equipment there. There's also a nice one there, Grounded Community Together We Can, that's had an outdoor walled garden that we're looking for investment to invest in the facilities and the services there to encourage more food growing, to build an outdoor classroom. And also, as part of one of the pledges, one of the sort of rewards that they put up was some of the honey from the beehives that they were investing in on the site, and they produce quite a lot of honey, so that's also one of the products they were looking at selling as well. So if we come on to the next one, Jason, thank you. So what is it that we're looking for? So the Crowdmatch program, it's open to new or existing community businesses that are based in England and that are providing services or activities, and it's about benefiting your local community. We will match fund up to 50% of whatever your target is, so whatever it is that you're looking to raise from the crowd. We will do that up to a maximum of £10,000 as long as you can raise the rest through crowdfunding. And we want you to demonstrate that community business does have charitable purpose at the heart of what it does. You don't have to be a charity, but because we are a charitable funder, we want to support activities that are in themselves charitable. So we come on to the next one. Again, based on the charitable activities, or there's the honey. We will be looking to see that you are working towards one of the following impacts in your community. I won't read these out, but you can see these there, and you can see them online when we post this as well. Most activities contribute, to be honest, more than one of these outcomes. But we'll just ask you to identify which of these you'll be working towards. And that's just as part of our charitable funding that we need to make sure it's working towards those. And again, what are we looking for? So we will support the community business, and we're looking to support community businesses that are either starting up or looking to become more sustainable through crowdfunding. So you might be new to this, or you might be an established existing organisation. but you'll be looking to raise money from your community, partly to build a better following, and I think that will help you in your quest to become a probably more robust community business, but also about becoming more sustainable. We'll be looking for a team from the community driving this. It's not just all on one individual, and that one individual has to lead everything. So we really want to see that there is more than just sort of one or two people doing this. There's a big group behind you, and that the community is on board, so that you are likely to raise what you're looking for. As part of this, we therefore are asking for 3 unrelated individuals to be on your board, and that's something we will check behind the scenes. I suppose it's also worth pointing out the bottom bullet point there: you must be an incorporated organisation or have solid plans to incorporate within 3 months. The legal structures that we will accept are in the guidance, but they are largely all your sort of typical non-profit making or non-profit distributing legal structures, so we wouldn't be able to support for-profit private businesses. And we are asking that you have a bank account in the name of the recipient organisation, and the reason for that is it makes it a lot smoother and easier for us to disperse the grant to you, but also for you to disperse the money from Crowdfunder. So if we just come on to the next one. So in particular, we're looking for projects that are supporting marginalised communities or from less affluent areas. We're looking for projects led by younger people, projects that might be tackling the climate crisis, and projects that might be looking at digital transformation. If you're not covering any of those, you can still apply and we will look at it. But ideally, we would be seeing sort of 1 or 2 or more of these. You don't have to tick all of the boxes, but you might tick one of the boxes. And we give you a bit of guidance as to what we mean by less affluent areas. If you don't tick any of the boxes, by all means, if you feel you're still a good fit, then do by all means apply, and we can take a look at that. So the link to how you can apply is down the bottom there. I'm sure Jason will give you an example, give you more links as well and more details later on. But I know Joe and Rebecca we've got here to talk later as well about their experience of running a crowdfunding campaign. And I was just talking beforehand to Becky and how useful she's found doing the crowdfunding campaign and how that opened the door to other resources from other funders. And it's really helped them develop the organisation and get on a sort of pathway to growing the organisation. So that's really what we're looking for through this partnership with Crowdmatch. But I'll hand you back now to Jason.
Great, thanks, John. And yeah, we will be sending out these, circulate the slides afterwards. The webinar is also recorded, so that will be available. And we'll also share with you lots of useful information as to how to actually get started on a crowdfunding campaign and to apply as well. So a little bit about Crowdfunder. We've been around for about 10 years now. We've now helped organisations to raise over £240 million from the crowd and other funders, other partners. As well as Power to Change, we're working with a wide range of other partners as well. We've got a real emphasis on sports crowdfunding at the moment, helping clubs get over COVID and get people back out playing sports. So we're partnering with Sport England, Sport Wales, Sport Northern Ireland, British Cycling and others as well. We run the Aviva Community Fund for Aviva, which you might have come across. And we've currently got a really great opportunity from the National Emergencies Trust, NET. Someone posted a question to say they don't think they're a community business. Is it still worth watching the webinar? Well, we're going to talk now a bit more about crowdfunding, so that's going to be useful. But also we've got other match funding opportunities on Crowdfunder at the moment as well. Trust for London are supporting organisations in and around London. National Emergencies Trust have match funding available for charities providing local support. So that might be another one to look at as well. We at Crowdfunder are a rewards-based crowdfunding platform. And what that means is, as well as crowdfunding and asking people to support your project with a donation, we also get you to think about what you might give back to people. in return for a donation, and hopefully a larger donation. So the average donation on Crowdfunder is around £50. So that's generally a bit higher than you would see on other platforms where people are just donating some money. The kind of things that get people to pledge are firstly things or why people pledge. Firstly, people hopefully are pledging because they believe in your idea, they like your organization, they like maybe what you stand for. If you're about environmental projects, maybe they're keen on environmental projects. Some people will pledge on a crowdfunding campaign because they want the reward. We work with small scale brewers and gin distillers. Generally, when people pledge on those projects, they want the beer or they want the gin. Really what you want to hit, and I think where a real strength for community businesses and why community businesses tend to crowdfund very well, is that you can hit that sweet spot. You're an organization that is doing good. You're not just about profit, you're giving something back to the community already. If you can then provide a reward that's linked to what you do or to your community, then people will pledge more. So in thinking about what you might offer as rewards, think about the kinds of people that might want to pledge on your project, whether they're members, whether they're friends and family, local suppliers or other people in the community, and then think about what you might be able to give back to those particular groups of people. Is it merchandise? Is it t-shirts, tote bags, those kinds of things? Although don't forget there is a cost with those. So generally, try to avoid things that have a significant cost because you want to maximize the amount of money you're getting in. Great things you can offer, things that are related to your services. So if you're starting up a composting business in the area, one of the rewards you could offer would be a year's subscription or a year membership of the composting service. You can also think about other organizations locally that might support what you're doing, local restaurants, other local suppliers, people you might be asking to, would they pledge on your project? Actually, for them, if they're a business, it's much more cost effective for them to say, give you some vouchers for some meals or give you some stock that you can then turn into rewards. It all goes to help show that you've got support from the local community, not just from the public, but other businesses and other people in the area. So you're going to set up your crowdfunding campaign, and obviously we're talking about match funding, in this case from Power to Change. Here's a little example of how that works in practice. This is one of the projects that was supported in the last round, a community garden. So the way it works is you'll come onto Crowdfunder. You need to start setting up a crowdfunding campaign. So generally, I think people are used to, if there's funding, start with an application. Actually, to get the match funding from Power to Change, you're going to need to start crowdfunding. So you start setting up your crowdfunding campaign. Once you're getting through that process, a little box will pop up. Hopefully, if you're based in England, that you've said you're a community organisation or a charity, that you're supporting the right organisations and beneficiaries. A pop-up will appear and say there's match funding available. You'll be able to look at the criteria, just check through those and complete the short application form. It's a relatively short form, much shorter than you'd see for a full application normally for a grant. But that's because a lot of the information you're going to provide about the project and what you're doing should actually be part of your crowdfunding campaign. So you're telling the funder, in this case Power to Change, about what you're doing through your crowdfunding campaign. If successful, you'll be notified that you are eligible for match funding, but you'll then need to crowdfund at least 25% before the Power to Change will pledge on your project. It's really crucial in this program that you can demonstrate you've got support from the community. So we do that by asking you to raise a certain amount, usually 25%, from a minimum number of supporters. Once you've got that support, the Power to Change pledge will go on. You'll then need to go on to hit your target to receive the money. That usually happens once you've got the match pledge. It really helps create a powerful message to potential supporters that you can say, we've had match funding from Power to Change. It just helps people have confidence in your project and gives you some endorsement. And generally projects will hit their target quite soon after they've received a match funding pledge. Crowdfunding has a number of benefits. Hopefully you'll be learning something new through the process. We understand that can be slightly scary. It is new, it is different. It's different to just applying for a grant. But we've got lots of help and support to get you through that process and help you raise the money. We also know that crowdfunding is great for validation of your idea. Going out there to your community and saying, we've got this great idea. Do you think it's a great idea? Hopefully they come back and say yes. They might also give you some feedback about what you're doing. They might also offer to become a volunteer or work with you as well. So it's a really great way of talking to your community about what you're doing, raising awareness. Treat it like a marketing campaign. It's an opportunity to try different ways of marketing, thinking about the different things that are going to attract different people in the community to what you're doing. You'll hopefully also get some extra funding through the process, as I say, not just from Power to Change, but we've got a number of other match funders who are available for you on the platform too. So that's kind of brief overview of how it works. We have, as I said, got lots of support available to you to help you set up your crowdfunding campaign and run it successfully. So we've got webinars. So this webinar is a bit of an overview of the fund and a little bit about crowdfunding. We do introduction to crowdfunding webinars regularly as well. I'll share the link to those in the email that goes afterwards. We've got a really great online learning course, which is all in little bite-sized chunks. So you can either work through the whole course, or you could say, I'm not really sure about rewards, do the section about rewards and learn through that. It's lovely and short bite-sized modules that you work through, really accessible, and you can drop in and out as well. We've got lots of guides that walk you through the process. Some of those, if you want, you can download. They've got worksheets in if you like to write things out as well. You'll also get lots of help and advice through email as you work through the process, emails that are tailored to where you are at that point and give you certain advice. So if you haven't added a video to your project yet, you might get an email saying, here's some top tips on videos with links and advice as well. And we've got people on the end of email and support available throughout the process as well. So hopefully we can help you run a really great crowdfunding campaign, even if you haven't done it before. So that's all from me. We've got a couple of projects owners we're going to talk to now. We've got Joe, who's from Heart of BS13, and Becky. To start with Joe. I think you might need to unmute, Joe, because I didn't mute everyone. Hi, Joe. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. Here's my lateness.
No problem. So we're just going to share one slide about your project. So this was you ran a project in February of this year.
Started in December, yeah.
Yeah.
December
okay. So
February.
Closed in February. You started in December 2020. I mean, you went on to raise a fantastic over £30,000, didn't you, with 130 supporters to your project. Tell us just firstly then, why did you come to crowdfund? Why did you crowdfund?
So I started at Heart of BS13 in June of 2020, and I came on board to sort of scale up the veg growing side of things so that we could have more of an income coming into the organization. And what became very apparent very quickly was that we couldn't scale anything up if we didn't have a space to pack anything. And also we couldn't increase the amount of volunteers we had on the site without somewhere to put them in, when it rained. And so we basically were desperate for a space, a solid space to pack and to run workshops and to do our floristry, because we also grow flowers. So we grow organic veg and flowers. And so the point of the crowdfunder was scaling up the kitchen garden enterprise. So we wanted a packing shed, a polytunnel, And then we also had as our stretch target composting, a set of composting bays basically. And that's what we achieved, all three of those, which has been fantastic. And in terms of what it's enabled us, we have doubled and soon to triple our veg box subscriptions. And what the polytunnels have allowed us is basically increased the amount of produce that we can grow for ourselves, which then saves us money because we want to be growing as much as possible ourselves without buying it in.
Great. And I noticed on your project, we talked about rewards earlier. You had a fantastic array of rewards from, I think, from £5 up to, was £1,000 your maximum? Tell us about a few of those. What were your favourite rewards, and what did people like?
What people really liked was the local restaurants. So Josh Eggleton was a huge support of us, and he is a local sort of restaurant owner. He owns lots of restaurants, and I guess on the larger end, I think having a range of rewards was really helpful. And this was a very specific, obviously, I guess projects always are, but specific to Bristol. So lots of very well-known Bristol restaurants. People enjoyed being able to buy vouchers, I suppose, vouchers for those. But also down to the lower end, being able to buy a sort of £10 voucher for their favourite bakery was also really popular. And we had some slightly more interesting ones like business away days. So businesses could pledge for up to 20 of their team to come and do a volunteering day. And I would say, yeah, as you said, with the rewards, if I was to do it again, I would pay more attention to the rewards early on, and really, because lots of local businesses want to support and contribute, and it's very easy for a local business to give you something as a reward, and they almost prefer to do that, I would say, than donate, than just give cash.
Yeah, it's much more cost effective for them to do that. And I think particularly for the restaurants, if you offer a restaurant voucher, I don't know about you, but when I go into a restaurant with a voucher, I go, oh, lunch is paid for, so let's have a nice bottle of wine, or
Absolutely.
Let's have dessert. You upsell yourself.
Yeah.
Or you say, we've got a voucher for 2, let's take some friends, it's half price.
So it works for everyone.
Yeah. So it can, it brings them new business as well. Can you remember which of your rewards raised the most money?
Oh, I think it was one of the Josh Eggleton vouchers, because no, it wasn't. We had it was a floristry, an offer of floristry for a wedding. So though the crowdfunder was in the winter, we offered flowers for a wedding for I think it was £250. So it was actually interesting to note that some of our really large rewards didn't actually sell.
Yeah.
Whereas I guess they could have done. I think that could have been a case of doing more work in terms of marketing those particular rewards, because now we are doing lots of business away days as an organization, because we have the space now to host people, which is interesting way around. It's like kind of happened. Yeah.
Great. And what did you learn from the process? If you're going to do it again, what might you do differently? Let's think about that. Yeah.
So I would gather more rewards, because the rewards work on so many levels in terms of a marketing, sort of PR and marketing, teaming up with organizations or promoting other you're basically promoting them and they're promoting you, and having those links with people, and tuning into their Insta contacts and everything. Just doing the Crowdfunder was an amazing PR and marketing project, really, aside from the raising the money. And what I would do is also I'd have more people on board to help, because I was pretty much doing this on my own, and it's quite a lot of work. And I'd be careful what you offer as rewards as well. So if you're offering stuff from your own organization, especially products and things, just be really mindful of what you can deliver, because it's quite painful to be still trying to get rewards out far into the future and have promised things that perhaps I had a couple of people in London order plug plant trays, and I was suddenly in this situation where I had to try and get trays of plug plants to London, which was, even though I had stated that it was Bristol only, but they'd put the money in by that point and we were far down the line, so I had to offer them other things, or they actually in the end said that they weren't too fussed, rather than me driving all the way to London with a couple of trays of things. So that, and I also just have a very clear plan of where you intend to be at different stages in the crowdfund. And if you can secure some pledges in advance, so if you have interest, then be wary, like not wary, but sort of organize when it will be useful for those pledges to come in, if you see what I mean. Because you don't want to get loads and loads all at once or all at the end, because it's very nerve-wracking if you don't have. So have some people lined up and have them in different categories. So my friends and family were very keen to support early on. So, and that probably is the case generally, and then maybe have businesses or whatever a bit further down the line and be pushing each different one at different stages. Yeah,
that's a really great tip. So think about the rewards, think about who they might be aimed at, and start talking to them about them before you go live. Test it out, in effect. So if you you mentioned about the opportunity for businesses, perhaps if you'd have started talking to some local businesses beforehand and said, we're going to crowdfund, it's going to, then you might have got some of those bigger value rewards as well. Thanks ever so much, Joe. We're going to move on, but that was really great. Some really great advice there. Going to come on now to Becky, and Becky's from Spark. You crowdfunded again. You launched did you launch end of January this year?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, and closed in March. You raised just over £10,000, didn't you?
Yeah.
How and why did you end up crowdfunding?
I was bullied. No. What it was because we are actually registered as a brand new charity in the October, and the local community were like, come on, Becky, you need to get more funds in so that you can actually open the doors to the charity. And I was like, yes, I'm really laid back because I'm really passionate, but I'm not very good at pushing myself forward as an organization. And then it was the local community. One of the guys that actually heads up the Crowdfunder in Portsmouth approached me and said, come on, Becky, Spark Community Space needs to get involved. And I'm like, well, I don't know how to do it. And that was my honest answer. I had no clue what Crowdfunder was. I had no clue. So if you're watching this and you have no clue, that was me. And I literally had someone from Crowdfunder hold my hand through the whole process. And it was amazing to see how something I'd never known about platform suddenly £10,000 richer.
Great. And again, some of the questions we just covered. What rewards did you offer, and which ones were really popular?
The guy from Crowdfunder actually said to me, Becky, you need a really expensive item on the Crowdfunder. And I was like, well, no one's going to pay a lot of money for something that's a brand new charity. And so he was saying, no, you need to do this. So I did things like really at the lower end, like for £5, because the charity is about everyone to be included. I wanted that to be the ethos through Crowdfunder as well. So I did £5 rewards, which was some stickers with Spark Community Space on it. And then I did T-shirts, mugs, jumpers, I think. But the really expensive one was £500, and it was to name our cafe space when we open. And I thought no one is going to pay £500 to have a plaque in the cafe. So, and they did. Someone actually paid £500. So I always say the reward, you might not be that impressed with your own rewards sometimes, because you think, why would somebody pay all this money to name a cafe space in a charity? But you'll be surprised that when somebody hears what you want to do and they're passionate about it, they'll want to spend more money. So don't be scared to have a real variety of items. And some you might think, no one's going to want to do that. But ask around, ask your people that are supporting you to say, what rewards would you be interested in? Because I never thought in a million years someone would pay £500 to put a plaque in a cafe, but they did.
And was that a business or a local philanthropist, or who was it?
It was somebody that I met on a networking site the week before we launched, and it was a business lady, and she was so passionate about the story of why Spark was a charity and the ethos behind what we were trying to do. She did it without me knowing, and I went on and I went, you don't even know me. She'd never met me, and it was a business, and she was like, no, I've got to support this. What you're doing is what's needed. And it was like, oh my gosh. So even strangers, and that's why you need to have a really good video. You need to have a really clear story, because people will buy into that without even knowing about you. They will almost find you. It's really quite weird, because I didn't even know this platform existed, and I was shocked at how a complete stranger bought the most expensive reward.
That's great. I mean, a lot of people say to me after they've crowdfunded that crowdfunding was great, we got the money, but the best thing about it was we were introduced to so and so, or someone came forward and offered some other help and things like that.
And that's been our biggest shock, is actually the Crowdfunder is not only a great platform to raise the funds, it's actually a great platform as you go forward. Your supporters literally keep going with you. It's amazing. Yeah. Honestly, I'm absolutely astounded by that continued support.
I think that's very true. I think on the slide I said about the benefits, I don't know if I touched on it, but one of those is around advocates. And I know a few people in Brighton who've crowdfunded a few years ago who said to me, you know, even now, if I'm doing anything new, the people who crowdfunded and their names are on the wall at the back of the room from when we set up, they're still the first people sharing on Twitter or buying the tickets, or, you know, they've become those real long-term supporters and advocates.
Yeah, and that's been the biggest shock, is how, because we were an unknown charity, and now we've got a really loud voice in the city of Portsmouth as a place for people that are socially isolated. Well, go along to Spark, you'll be made welcome. And that's been what Crowdfunder really started, was that story in the city of, oh my gosh, they must have a presence because we've been backed by Crowdfunder. And that's what it does. It just keeps validating who you are.
Great. Anybody would think I'd just fed you all these lines, but
thought.
I haven't at all. It's so lovely to hear. Was there anything you found particularly difficult in the process? You were completely new to it, weren't you? So
I had no clue, and I'm being honest. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Because I have a hidden disability, and that is I had brain surgery, so I don't have the processes. So I can talk to you and you think I'm completely normal. But actually behind the scenes, if I'm writing anything, I really struggle. And that's why I'm being completely honest. If I can do it, anyone can, because there is the help out there. Crowdfunder is a great support to help. And I remember going, but I've never done a video before. I don't even know what to do. And it's like, keep it simple, get your phone out, literally get somebody to ask you questions, and there's your video. And it's about get your story across with impact by having that video. And I never have done a video before, and you'll probably see that if ever you saw the video. But it's just the fact that the story of the charity got out there, because people like to hear your story, believe in your story. And sometimes the written word is just like two-dimensional. But when they hear your story in the video, so it is really worth taking the time to do a video, and don't be scared. Just don't be scared. Just be honest, keep it real, and just make sure people can understand your campaign. Keep it really simple. And there is the help. You guys have been really incredible.
That's great to hear. And yeah, top tips there. I think you could write our new video guide. Those are exactly the things we say to people about, because a video is often something that people aren't sure about. I don't know, Joe, did you had a really lovely video. How did you do yours? Did you get some help with that, or?
I did. I happen to have a friend who offered to help with that for quite a low fee. I mean, but we did accept that we wanted to invest something in the video because we recognized that the potential for what we were going to make from the crowdfunder was worth a bit of investment.
Yeah.
And I think what an important thing about the video is, yeah, like as Becky says, sort of telling the story, and it being, you know, we had one of our volunteers telling the story basically behind the video, one of the members of our community. And I think that, yeah, I do think the video is a really large part of our success.
Yeah, we know on Crowdfunder from looking at the numbers that campaigns that have a video will raise more than campaigns that don't. That's maybe linked to the fact that if you're creating a video, you're probably putting more effort into your campaign as well. Videos are often something that people do get a bit of help with. Often people will say, yeah, I got a friend who helped, or sometimes people pay. What I'd always say, if you're going to pay someone to do you a video for your crowdfunding campaign, while they're doing that footage and interviews and things, they could easily adapt that and just have a kind of more standard video about your charity or about the business that you might use as part of your promotion on your website. You know, it's a very quick job for them to edit that content, so you've got it for 2 uses as well. So I think we're just about coming to the end of our time now. I don't know, I mean, the last question I like to ask people, and you might have both covered it, was did you have any other unexpected outcomes or results after crowdfunding, even whether during the campaign or afterwards?
Is Joe going first?
You go, Becky, go on.
Okay. The biggest impact that I've had is actually Portsmouth City Council. The leaders have got on board because of the crowdfunder, and I found that actually I've got so many businesses now that are advocates, like you said, for the charity, that actually it's just been phenomenal. And I would always say to people, don't be scared of doing a crowdfunder, but just make sure that you create. I remember the guy when I was doing the crowdfunder, he said to me, always have 10 supporters before you go live. And that was one of the most valuable bits of information. And that means that you have 10 pledges ready to go live as you press live. And it just means then that the money's starting to rise, and then people start to go, oh, what's this? I'm going to jump on board. And then you start to see it. So that was the biggest thing that I've got, is the support that's come through the crowdfunder of some really, you know, people with great integrity now are backing the charity, and also they're paying monthly into the charity. How cool is that?
Brilliant. Joe, how about you? Anything unexpected?
I would say the relationship with other local businesses. We're now closely linked to this fairly celebrated chef in Bristol. And as a result of the crowdfunder, he became aware of our project and now is just basically partnering with us on lots of other things. And I think, it basically raised our profile. I think that was the major thing, that I knew it would, but I didn't know to what extent it would.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. And we've also started as a result of our stretch funder, which was to build some composting bays, our organisation now has set up, because we recognised the sort of importance of composting, and we've now set up an entire composting strand of our organisation. So I guess that's another benefit.
I think it's really great just to hear how both of you are talking about the non-financial benefits. And for Power to Change, what we're really interested in is helping organisations to grow and deepen those local roots in their communities. And that seems to have really kind of worked for both of you, which is just great to see.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, 2 fantastic case studies. We will share links to your projects so everyone can have a look at your campaigns in the information we send out to everyone after today's session. But thanks to both of you for your time. Anna has left a lovely message saying you're incredibly inspiring and your stories are lovely to hear, and I'm sure everyone feels the same as well. So thanks ever so much for your time. I think we're about done. John, did you have any last thoughts, anything last to add?
No, not really, but just, thanks, Joe, thanks, Becky, really inspiring stories. And there are more of those online when you look at the videos and the past projects as well. So if you are looking for more inspiration, look at that. What Powers Change wants to support is we just want to incentivize some of these great projects and swing behind them. So yeah, we're looking forward to seeing some good applications come in.
Absolutely.
With videos.
With videos. With pledges lined up in advance.
Great. So thanks everyone, and yeah, we look forward to seeing your applications shortly. Take care.
Thanks.